yesterday I streamed. I spent 5 hours live engagement, not just sitting it, aside for 5 hours playing in the background, but actively going through when someone made content commentary on the Twitter space, then highlighting their profile, making sure that anybody that sees that future clip or that future content can utilize it. They could make their own, content, and as far as a link, and they could link it inside of Twitter, and they can choose kind of one of two paths, one of three paths, I guess, as far as what I think is important. One path is they can say, here's the clip that Gary put his time into creating because I'm actively watching the Twitter space and their content. And you can benefit from creating your own Twitter link, your own hashtag with their account, your own, signaling it to them so that they make sure they see your clip that you make from the YouTube stuff that I've streamed. And you can choose violence. You can say, you're an idiot. That's so stupid. You're talking about finance or banking, and that's horribly corrupt. Stock market is terrible. Anything except for HEX and the religion that I represent is awful.
We're not supposed to say that word.
Well, that's what it is. It's religiosity, whether you call it a religion or not. Finance is religiosity. These are beliefs. So all I'm saying is you can choose violence. And the first few times, if I don't see it, then I'm sure it'll just be my content that I've streamed and I've put the time into, and then you're repurposing for your message to get through to that guy and show a chink in his armor and basically get your shot in, right? And then soon after that, I'm likely to block you, and I'm likely to say that I don't think that that's useful martial arts in this game of influence. So you could choose that. You could also choose to just repost. Just make the link of the little sound bite snippet, whether it's positive or negative, about, that they say, because history will prove out 6 months from now, a year from now, some of these guys will be very accurate on what their predictions are about the macroeconomic situations, about the performance of crypto, or the performance of Bitcoin. If they're a Bitcoin maxing, it's spread all over their Twitter handle. You're gonna see some of those things prove out, and it's going to prove out that they were right and they want praise because they called it, or they were wrong and they want to hide it. So they won't promote the fact that they were on Mario's Twitter space and said something different, 6 months ago, right? They won't promote that. So I want to have archival, and I want to have use, and I want to multi-purpose and be efficient with our messaging in general. And so you can choose violence and probably get gatekept by them, and probably never, get blocked by them, and probably their audience won't learn your messaging in the future. It won't get through. Or you could choose apathy, just repost, go through the work of building your own Twitter account, using my content, highlighting their hashtag, highlighting their quotation of what they said, and just let it be. That's the middle approach, which is just kind of not a decision on your side as an enthusiast. Or you could learn a little bit of politics, a little bit of diplomacy, and look at the diplomatic role, which is holding your ground on what you care about as far as crypto, the narrative as far as immutable, no admin key, Richard Hart was right, has been right, those kinds of things. You can highlight those things. And I just wouldn't hashtag it all over the place, because people will be polarized by the presenter or the messenger instead of the message. So I think that it's important that we learn better marketing. And better marketing to me is Patrick Bet-David has a conversation with Mario yesterday about banking and, moral hazard and, decision by politics and politicians, right? And he has an audience. Mario has an audience that when Richard was cresting 200,000, Mario was cresting 200,000. Now Mario is 410,000, Richard is 300,000. Mario spends hundreds of hours a week making a platform available that Peter Schiff comes on, people don't like, they like, whatever. Elon Musk comes on, calls Mario by first name, right? And some of the trolling that I see inside of the messaging from, Hexicans and things like that have at least a Hex logo say, Mario has shielded terrible things in the past. He's just in it for clout chasing. Okay, great. And when's your last conversation with any of these other guys you may hold up in high regard? When was that? Right? You might be right. You might be right that Mario has some negative impact on the narrative of cryptocurrency. And yet you're not influential. He is. Don't you want to get to his audience? Right? So like I'm trying to walk that political thing between I'm a Hexican, I believe in Richard Hart, I believe in pulsechain, pulsechain. I believe that those things have merit in the crypto space of speculation. I think that they're fair games as far as people can enter fairly and exit fairly, and you can get penalized for trying to game the protocols, right, so to speak. So I care about those things. And yet Mario follows me, Richard follows me, other people follow my account because I'm trying to walk the politics line, and I think that it's great that we have such passion in this hex thing, this hexagon movement. To me, I think it's great. I want people like Johnny to have better and bigger audiences, even though he hates to be popular. I want people like Matt from Texan Token to get his audience and engage politically like him and Brandon do with their product, right? Their platforms. And I think that learning the way of holding your ground, your words have meaning. You don't have to use a lot of them. They can have weight. Building influence, synergy is better path for 2023, right? Into 24 and 25, because the bull is coming. Today, Bitcoin hit 26,000 just on CPI, just within minutes of CPI. CPI released at basically expectation, 6%, right? So some of these things were just pent up energy, pent up interest, retail purchase, speculation on narrative. And we can be better in our messaging to outperform the marketing of only Bitcoin in the crypto space. Bitcoin and then everything else is crypto is bullshit. That's not true. They're all social consensus. They're all belief systems. They just happen to have different protocols on how they perform, different ways that they perform their security model. So anyway, that was my rant about like why I wanted to come on the stream today. And then what I've been doing, like, all this morning was like another 4-hour session of their content, and they just finished. And when there's other finance channels, finance popular channels, then I'll stream. And I love engaging when I can, as far as the chat stuff. But I'm trying to also highlight the profiles of people that I hold in high regard, especially inside of the HEX community. So making sure that your Twitter is presentable and it doesn't have a lot of things that are third rail kind of content, homophobia and things like that. I'm going to skip your channel or block you altogether so I don't accidentally stroll across your content. So it's people that I hold in regard, that I like yourself, that I see person to person, I see facial expression, and I'm trying to sort that out. I see your active engagement with teaching people TikTok and shorts and reels and some of the things that are available to us. Even if you're not a content creator, you can help. Like, you can help the message get through to others.
So there's a lot of things that you're saying, and let's kind of just break it down so people really understand. So what you want to do, practically speaking, let's forget about the ideals for a second, is you have been recording these massive Twitter spaces with Mario Naufel and Kim.com and often many other big names, big names in these finance sector. And you've been doing that, and and first of all, you notice that a lot of people are watching it, right? So you're taking the feedback, you're getting over 3,500 in one day, right? And this is obviously not even, you're probably, most of them aren't even, people that are into hex, or at least half of them. So that was very effective. Now you want it clipped, and you want it shared on Twitter, tagging these people. So uh, they retweet, they like, they engage with it. It's good for your Twitter account, but it's also good for the ecosystem, right? So is that correct? That's what you want to start seeing. Oh, you're muted.
Yeah, yeah. And again, if someone says, because there's a lot of whales inside of Hex that I don't think have ever streamed, made content, don't have an Instagram, didn't have a Twitter. They don't, like even Godwhale didn't have a Twitter for 2 years, right? And 2 years into Hex existing, someone was trying to impersonate his donation to the film. And when they were trying to impersonate by creating a Twitter that said that they, were taking credit for that $500,000 donation to the film, they, Godwell said, "Hey, wait a minute, like this, let's, I need to show a little bit of, connection here, even though it in some ways made him more vulnerable, right?" So like, there's a lot of people like that inside of crypto space, inside of finance, right? And it's been a lot of joy out of being a public figure. You have a public figure. I have a public figure, right? And your heavy lifting of creating this content, it goes with like social reward because you're praised and you just have social validation and feels out of like, being relatively popular in a niche, right? And then some people will monetize that, right? And I don't think there's anything wrong with monetizing a Patreon or consultations and things like that. I don't see that as a negative. If the content is specialized or niched, or you're doing the research to present factual information to an audience, then they're paying for convenience. It's probably better to go to Costco and buy food in bulk, but people are going to do things in convenience and pay a premium for it. So I'm fine with all those kinds of narratives myself, personally. And a lot of this Twitter content stuff, especially the growth in influence and impact. Why do you know Peter Schiff's name? Because he made it his opinions known for decades. Why do you know Patrick Bet-David? Why do you know Elon Musk? Why isn't he just a dark horse, anonymous owner of a mega corporation? It's because he is trying to be influential, right? And a lot of these guys, there's 12 people in the room. All of them have 100,000 to 500,000 follower kind of groups. I think Rand is like 700,000. Whenever he does his news updates from South Africa, it's got good engagement. It obviously gets the attention of Richard enough to where he'll stream with Rand, right? And even though Richard may have a position that, Rand advertises things that do harm his audience on occasion, if not often, Richard still sees the benefit of getting to that guy's audience. He sees the benefit, right? He engaged with Peter Schiff. Do you think that Hexicans were going to be influenced to buy gold? Probably not. Do you think that his audience of gold bugs might learn something through engaging with Richard or Hexicans? Probably, right? So it's the diode question, right? And so when I see people make comment on Twitter on a thread that I'm praising Mario's, effort, whether it's ROI or not on his part as a brand, building his platform, right? His consultation, his promotion skills and marketing or whatever it is, or his, promotion of an ICO that gets people wrecked, whatever it is. Like, I see the benefit of getting to the audience that has 13,000 live people watching, 20,000 people live watching, right? I'm not going to engage in all the politics stuff of the Twitter files, but if it has a big enough audience, especially if it's niched down to be finance, investor, people trying to promote a narrative, then I want to be in there recording, and I want the benefit to go to HEX messengers, people that understand what the protocol is. Yes, it's like I had somebody that's a good friend of mine messaged me yesterday, text me yesterday. It's like, man, why is it so hard to figure out how to unstake my HEX? Like someone walked them through it a year ago, and they're like, why is it so hard? So it's not hard. We're engaged all the time, but here's who I can point to. This is probably going to lead you straight. And I point them to Popper Boner or a lot of the other people that go through the processes, kind of those tasks of security and things like that,
Guys, do you have any questions about how to approach the Pulse Chain launch? Or do you have any questions about crypto security, anything like that? Go book a free one-on-one. Links in the description with me. Schedule it on your own time. You could schedule it on your own time, at a time that's most convenient for you. And it'll be fun. And also consider becoming a Patreon, get access to my trades, my Discord group, meetings every Sunday, 12 p.m. Eastern time with the community, and discounts and many other great benefits, exclusive content, my trades, my portfolio, how I'm navigating the markets. Links in the description. Get in the Patreon. Go support my work if you can, or even if you cannot. And also follow me on Instagram at Furu Finance.